Welcome and let's hop aboard on the quick start tutorial to Empyreal Spells in Steam, a game designed by Trey Chambers and published by Level 99 Games. This game holds from 2 to 6 players that plays around 20 minutes per player for ages 13 and up. Empyreal Spells in Steam is a fantasy train game taking place in the World of Indines. You are a railway baron set to be the best in delivering goods by developing a grand network in the time of early industrialization. The goal in this game is to score the most victory points by delivering goods to cities, quickly fulfilling demands, diversifying the goods you deliver, and get awarded by carrying out special objectives. Let's now set up the game. The number of players in the game determines which maps to use and its configuration. For example, in a 4-player game setup, you need to use 2 sets of maps from A or B and 2 maps from C, and create a map that looks like this. Then, on each hex of the 6 types of terrain spaces, place the matching goods tokens. Now gather the demand tiles along with the 6 city stands. There are 6 cities in total. Place a city stand on each of the city hexes. There is 1 for each type of deliverable good. The number of players will determine the number of demand tiles that will go in each city. So in a 4-player game, each city should contain a 4 goods demand token, 2 3 goods demand token, and 1 2 goods demand token. Near the board, create a space for the engine market. Shuffle all the engine tiles and randomly select 6 engines. Display them face up to start the market. Place the rest face down in a nearby pile. Now shuffle each of the specialist tiles, which are the engineers, surveyors, and station masters. Create stacks of each type equal to the number of players plus 1. A 4-player game should have 5 specialists in each stack. The rest of the specialists are returned to the box without being revealed. The specialists that are in the game cannot be looked at unless acquiring them. Randomly choose 2 award tiles that will give extra points at the end of the game. Reveal them and place them both near the board. Return the rest of the awards to the box. The player who goes first is the one who recently rode a train, or randomly if desired. Give that player the start player token. Each player will choose a company and collect their company's folio, their captain's placard placed on the folio's designated space, train cars, a conductor pawn, and 4 mana crystals placed on the folio's upper right corner. Finally, starting in reverse order, the players build their headquarters. Each company's folio will have a starting terrain shown on the upper left. Each player will choose and place their train on one of these terrain hexes. Then they will place another train on any adjacent terrain, but not on a city or a wasteland. And that's it! Time to move on to gameplay. The game begins with the first player and turns will be passed on the next player to the left. This continues until one player has reached one of the endgame conditions. They collected the required number of demand tiles, or if they ran out of trains. On a player's turn, they will take their turn in full before passing to the next player. Here is what players do on their turn. First, they activate any of their specialists. Then they do their main action, either administrate or move plus activate. When a player wants to activate any of their specialists, they must do so before they take a main action, and the specialist must be active and face up to use. Specialists can be obtained by using the administrate action or by the effect represented by this symbol. There are 4 different specialists: captains, engineers, surveyors, and station masters. Both captains and engineers function the same way. You can activate their ability, then flip them face down. To flip them back up, you must either use an effect or the administrate action to refresh them. Surveyors have very powerful abilities but can only be used once. After their effects are completed, they are turned face down and will not become available again for the rest of the game. Station Masters can be activated on each of the player's turn, and most will have special costs in order to use their effects. One of the 2 main actions you can take is the administrate action. When taking this action, you will first reclaim all your mana that your folio currently has. Then you can do one of the three following effects. Gain mana grants an extra mana, increasing your maximum. You take 1 mana from the supply and add it to your folio and it's ready to use. You can gain an engine tile and add it to your board, allowing you to do more special effects. You take an engine tile from the available ones on the engine market. You add that tile to one of the open spaces of your folio in the second row. You can start placing engines on your third row only once you completed filling the second row. If there are ever 2 engine tiles left in the market, discard the ones on the market currently and replenish the market with 6 new engine tiles. Last, there's Gain a Specialist. When getting one of these tiles, you may choose and look at one of the specialist stacks that are on the board, but don't reveal any to other players. Place your chosen specialist on the appropriate space on your company folio. There's no additional cost to gain a specialist, and any player may not gain 2 specialists of the same type. The action that you'll be taking the most is the move and activate. First you move your conductor, and then you do the effects of the engine tiles underneath the conductor. Your conductor starts the game on their start space. You must always move your conductor to the next space, and you must always move them to the right. Your conductor cannot move beyond the end of the line. A player may pay extra mana to move them further along the line. So here are the costs. The first move is of course free. Then to move the conductor to the second space requires the player to spend 1 mana. Moving to the third space will cost another 2 mana, and the fourth space will cost another 3 mana. So a conductor moving 4 spaces will cost 6 mana in total. A conductor cannot move more than 4 spaces. Just a note on spending mana. Move the mana off your board to signify you have spent it. When you need more mana, you need to reclaim. Take your mana and place it back on your folio. Some reclaiming effects will have the player refresh a certain number only. If and when you gain mana, take a mana crystal from the supply and add it to your folio so it's available. Now on to the second half of this action, it's time to activate those engines. Where the conductor stands after they move, the engines below are ready to use. Up to 3 engines can fall under the conductor. Out of those engines, you can activate the first for free, then the second will cost 1 mana, then the third will cost another 2 mana. Some engines can only be activated when playing additional mana. Staying on track, engines come in a variety of different effects and abilities. Your company folio will already come with a set of engines plus a unique company engine. As you gain new engine tiles from deliveries and during the administrate action, it will open up your capabilities. Some engine tiles allow to copy engines next to them, some allow players to reclaim mana, and there are even ones that manipulate goods on the map. Note that some engines will require a player to spend mana. Some engines, which build tracks, place trains on specified terrain. An engine like the steamer will give a player a choice of one of 2 terrains shown to place 1 train. This bunker, which requires 2 mana, has the player placing a train on both of the terrains shown. Onto other engines like the terraformer that cost 2 mana to use, allow the player to place a train in any terrain except cities and wastelands. Moving along from using engines to build tracks, there's a couple of rules to know about placing trains in your network. Where your first train is located, 2 additional trains that will be added to the map throughout the game makes up your network. A hex that contains your train means it's in network, and other adjacent hexes from your trains are network adjacent. Engine tiles and some abilities that place trains will mean to place on a hex that is network adjacent unless otherwise noted. Just remember that you cannot place tracks on cities and wasteland hexes, but some effects allow you to build on wastelands. You can also build on the same hexes as your opponent, and only up to 3 different companies can be on a single hex. You can never have 2 of your trains on the same hex. Because of the nature of competition, a player may want to make a transfer to reach further hexes. Transfers allow a player to bypass hexes. Each hex that a player passes requires paying mana. There are 3 types of transfers, and all are kept reference on your company folio. Players can make any number of transfers as long as the first network adjacent hex is a transferable hex. Competitor transfers allow players to bypass any one competitor's hex. Each hex you pass will cost 2 mana, and the number of competitors on a hex and passing different competitors does not matter. Players can transfer from cities and wastelands by paying 3 mana for cities and 4 mana to go over wastelands. Although this will cause separate networks, all company trains are always connected despite them not being adjacent to each other. If you move your conductor to the last space of the line, you make a delivery instead of activating your engines. After doing so, you get a choice of a free upgrade. To make a delivery, choose a network adjacent city that will collect any number of goods in your network that demands it. For all the hexes your trains are on that contains the good tokens the city wants, take any number of those goods and place it in your folio area. Remember that your network doesn't have to be connected, so trains far off can make a delivery and score. Then with the number of goods you have delivered on this turn, you may also take a demand tile from a city as a bonus. There are 3 types of demand tiles. You can take the demand tile worth 1 victory point if you delivered 2 goods, the demand tile worth 2 victory points for 3 goods, and the demand tile worth 3 victory points if you delivered 4 or more goods. You must always take the highest demand tile that you can, and demand tiles are limited for each city. Here is an example. Kingsline wants to deliver to a city that demands blue goods. They check their trains in all the hexes that have blue goods, including any if they are in separate networks. 3 goods can be delivered and the player chooses all of them. A 2 victory point demand tile is available and Kingsline takes the last one. After you made your delivery, it's time to choose an upgrade. If you didn't make a delivery, you still make an upgrade. You can gain an extra mana and then reclaim all of your mana. You can gain 2 engines from the market. Remember to always scrap and refill the engine market if at any time there are only 2 engines left. Finally, you can gain a specialist and refresh your captain and engineer. The very last thing to do is to return your conductor to the start of the line. There are 2 ways the game will end. First, if a player collects a certain number of demand tiles, which is determined by the number of players, or if one player runs out of trains. The round is then completed so that all players have an equal number of turns. Then once that is done, all players make a final delivery in reverse order, scoring goods and demand tiles as needed. No actions nor specialists are used in this final delivery. Now it's time to score. For each good delivered is 1 victory point. For demand tiles, their victory points are totaled. For every unique colored demand tile the player gains is worth 1 victory point. Finally, each award tile gives the player in first place 6 victory points, and the player in second place 4 victory points. Ties for first place will be added to the victory points to first and second place, and the 10 victory points will split among those tied players rounded down. For ties in second place, the 4 points are divided among the players who tied, rounded down. The winner will be the player who has the most victory points. If there's a tie for that, the player who delivered the most goods wins. If there's still a tie, the player who was furthest from the star player is the winner. This concludes the quick start tutorial for Empyreal spells in Steam. The Carpet Stacker will also like to thank Level 99 Games for sponsoring this video. Max out your gaming experience by visiting level99games.com. And thank you so much for watching. Please help us out by liking this video, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and visiting our Patreon page. This is Ferdinand the Carpet Stacker, reminding you to keep on stacking games.